Good evening. This is CTV News for Thursday, April 4th. I'm Byron Scott.
And I'm Gina Barti. Thanks for joining us.
Well, a gun safety group is calling for background checks for all guns sold in Maryland. Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America held a rally outside the State House this morning to demand passage of bills that will close loopholes that allow people to buy long guns without a background check. One of those supporting the measure is Andrea Chamblee, whose husband John McNamara was among 5 people who were gunned down last year at the Capital Gazette newspaper office in Annapolis.
The loophole would allow unlimited transfers from one person to another of a firearm without a background check. And we think everybody who gets a gun should be able to pass a background check.
Maryland has strong gun laws that prohibit dangerous people from possessing handguns and rifles and shotguns, because in the wrong hands, a long gun can be every bit as deadly as a handgun. We need to enforce these laws by closing the long gun loophole.
Organizers are calling for a swift passage as the legislative session ends on Monday.
A coalition of groups is coming out against a school safety bill they say could put innocent children at risk. Senate Bill 165 calls for an app they can download onto their phones that allows students to report possible threats anonymously. Supporters of the bill say it will allow students to report possible violent acts, bullying, harassment, and abuse. The NAACP, the ACLU, and other groups say the anonymous nature of the app is troubling.
Our biggest concern specifically is with possible false reporting or an abuse of the line. Often children engage in cyberbullying, which we have a lot of. And if in the cyberbullying world students are attacking each other that way, this could be used in that way also, but the students will be held anonymous.
Our concern is that the tip line has been completely exempted from the Public Information Act, which is our public records law. And as a result, the community and legislators, any elected leaders, would never be able to know if the tip line is being misused for reporting against kids who are already marginalized, kids of color, kids with disabilities, the LGBT kids, Muslim kids. And so, what we're really concerned about is that this tip line has the potential to be another school to prison pipeline, but with very little transparency.
The Safe Schools tip line was proposed by Governor Hogan.
And a man charged with shooting 5 people to death at a Maryland newspaper office will get more time to consider an insanity plea. A court hearing was held today in Annapolis. Attorneys for Gerard Ramos asked for more time to consider changing his plea to not criminally responsible by reason of insanity. They now have until April 29th. Ramos is charged with the murder in the June attack at the Capital Gazette newsroom. The trial will begin on November 4th.
Well, it was 51 years ago today that Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. Today, a local university reflected on his legacy. The history department at Bowie State University held a program to celebrate the civil rights icon. King was standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel when he was fatally shot in 1968. His untimely death sparked riots across the nation. The Georgia-born preacher was in Memphis to support a sanitation worker strike. Today, CTV spoke to Dr. Robert Britt about today's political climate and King's impact over the years.
I think Dr. King would be very disturbed of the racial polarization that is continued this long and with this degree of severity. But he would also be cognizant of the fact that that doesn't define the whole of what's going on in the United States. That people of different ethnicities or racial origins do in fact come together to fight to realize I guess what Lincoln called the better angels of our nature.
The program concluded this afternoon at the Thurgood Marshall Library.